I call it the 20-something stress. The panic-like state of fear brought on by the societal pressure of this decade. The same people that tell us not to waste our 20s tell us it's time to make mistakes, but then they have something to say when those mistakes don't equal the lessons they think we should learn. In one breath we're being told to travel whilst we can, and in the next we're being asked why we haven't settled down yet, why we haven't bought a house or started a family, found the one. They say, follow your dreams, with an undertone of, as long as it's not bigger than mine. As my 20s come closer to their end, I feel like I'm running out of time. But in reality, it's just another bend down the path that is mine. I've done so much in these years. Fallen in and out of love, travelled more than most ever do, laughed hard, drunk a lot, and stopped to smell the roses, beaches, mountain air, and roasted coffee beans more times than I can count, and yet, not enough. And I don't mean that sadly. You can never smell enough coffee. I've followed my path, gone off on side quests, and got lost down roads just for fun. I feel I've lived life on my terms, but not yet lived enough. I've been selfless and selfish. I've been a lover and a fighter. I've been good and bad, night and day, light and dark, chaos and order. I've been balanced and unbalanced in equal measure, because you can't have one without the other. I call it the 20-something stress. I feel it every day, but I no longer fear it. It tells me I'm living life on my terms. It tells me I'm living. So I actually remember when I wrote this. I wrote this sat in McDonald's on my first morning in Singapore last year. I've got it written down here that it was the 7th of September 2023. And I was in Singapore for the second time, but this time around it was for work. The first time I went there was travels. It was the start of my travels in 2022. So a year and a bit later, I'd landed in Singapore. And I actually remember landing in Singapore and walking through the airport and recognising it all. And being in the country for a completely different reason. This time it was for work, although I had about 4 or 5 days of holiday before work actually started. But it felt different. I knew I was there for a different reason, but it gave me this feeling of, I remember starting my travels here last year, and it was almost, I don't want to use the word sad, but it was like I want to be doing that again. You know what I mean? And then the next day I went to my hostel for the night, chilled out, slept. So the next day I woke up, I went to McDonald's for breakfast, and then I sat down and wrote this because I felt this 20-something stress. I've called it that for years now. And I felt it for years. I felt that pressure and that feeling. And I sat there thinking about it whilst having breakfast, and I realised that this feeling, I feel like the only way to negate this stress is by doing things as you're expected to tick the boxes that society expects you to tick, to find the one, get a mortgage, get a child, you know what I mean, have a child, it's the default path, as Paul Millard puts it. And I realised that the fact I feel this stress proves that I'm not living the default path. I'm not living the expected path, what is expected of me to do. I quit my job the year before, and I hit the road and went travelling. I started doing what I could to make some money on the side. I then came back into a new job, which I'd wanted for so long, and then started living that. And it's not an orthodox job. It's not the expected route. And each step of the way is a new twist in the road. It's a new bend. And there's another bend coming up. I'm excited. I'm no longer, as I say, in that In that, I'm no longer fear this stress because it tells me I'm living on my terms. If I feel it, it means that I'm not doing what's expected of me, but instead I'm doing what I want to do. Is there a more powerful feeling? I don't know. I say this, I'm sitting here speaking this to the microphone with a coffee in hand, and it smells good. Because as I said during that, you can't smell enough good coffee.